Hello, Bugatti Tista. I don't know if that's a thing, I just made it up. Alright, so what we have is the Hot Wheels, a 1994 Bugatti EB110 SS. Alrighty, the 110 in the name is supposed to be celebrating the 110th birthday of Ettore Bugatti, the founder of the company. And I'm not sure why you want to celebrate 110, but they did. This is supposed to be a relatively advanced car for its day. The day was between 1991 and 1995. They made 139 of these cars. The design was by Gianpaolo Benedini. It's supposed to be a 3.5 liter V12 and with 4 turbochargers, which we've come accustomed to with the Veyrons. And I suppose it was making around 600 horsepower. And this had a carbon fiber monocoque chassis that was made by Aerospatiale. I believe that must be a French company, because that company is those are the guys that made the Concorde airplane, and they make a lot of helicopters like the Gazelle and a bunch of satellites and other rockets and space. I mean, they're an aerospace company, so very advanced technology for its day going into a car. This car was supposed to be able to do 0 to 60 in around 3.6 seconds, or 0 to 100, whatever unit you work in. And then had active aerodynamics and all-wheel drive. Alright, so that's all I learned about this vehicle. Looking at this model, that's a serious amount of orange peel there. So that's too bad. Is this a brand new casting? 2020 copyright, so is this a new release? I don't know. I haven't collected Hot Wheels long enough to know. But is this like a door handle? I'm not sure about that, but it's on both sides, so alright. The wheels now, I guess they're going for, they're not going the same amount of spokes as on those photographs, but I guess they're okay. Yeah, that orange peel. I guess this is an orange marker on the real car. And then this is a little vent, to reduce air pressure on the real car. A vent there. Okay, going to the front. Vent here, going to the brake ducts, I guess. The classic Bugatti, well, it's a compressed Bugatti, grille. It's really narrow, so that actually isn't really accurate to the photograph. It's too tall. But the quantity of slots here does match up. There's a lot of casting gouges here, though. I do feel like the Bugatti badge is offset. The text is not really centered in the middle of this oval, so that seems a bit odd. Also, I don't really see a vent here on that real photograph. It's just plain. Alright. So I think this smoked plastic, this is the same piece of plastic there. I guess that's effective. These I think are, again, releasing some sort of pressure. I'm guessing the radiator's here, so radiator heat might exit that way. Some molded details, and you can actually see them pretty well because the canopy here is so big. Alright. Then we got little engine details. That engine detail is pretty good for Hot Wheels. I mean, it's better than some other premium branded engines. Alright, so we got these weird, I don't know, inlets maybe? Are these air intakes that go into the engine? Or it's just cooling off the whole area in there? I don't know that one. Maybe these are intakes as well? I think so, yeah, look at the photograph. And then, yeah, sadly, this wing is just comically large and thick. Doesn't look too bad from the side, but, the thickness there, it just looks pretty bad, but it has to be because these are designed for 3-year-old children that are probably going to step on it, throw it against things, chew on it, so it has to be really strong. This whole rear end is printed nicely. I mean, these taillights look good, and then the license plate is nice to see as well. these little vents here are okay. Oh, there's a little depth here to the exhaust tip, so that's a nice touch as well. Could have easily been blanked off. And then these go in quite a bit, so that's pretty good. Alright, that's supposed to be a red reflector. And then it's just equal-sized wheels, so that's why I like this one. You know, I don't like how Hot Wheels put the giant wheels on the back of their Chiron. It's just, you know, it looks a little more cartoonish, but not cartoonish enough that I like it, you know. It's like the uncanny valley when you look at robots. If a robot looks cute, you're not threatened by it. But once a robot starts to look like a real human being, it's very disturbing psychologically. So that's called the uncanny valley. So I gotta edit this in here. I always tend to forget the scale of these things, but I do want to know. So the scale, well, I'm sorry, not the scale. The wheelbase of this car is supposed to be 2550 millimeters. So let me try to measure middle axle to axle here. So I have 41.34. Yeah, so this is not 164, 162, 161, somewhere in that ballpark. Alright, so now we know that one. Sorry, I'm getting congested again. Well, let's see what happens. Well, it turns out that the EB110 had multiple types of wheels going on, so these are the alternates that I decided to 3D print here. The tires are also 3D printed as a separate piece. So I did that. I also drilled out the base a little bit so the axles could ride a little higher. There was just too much of an air gap before. And then a bunch of paint details, a bunch of black paint pretty much everywhere in all the different vents. You know, there's a whole lot of vents up here. I probably could have used a Sharpie, but I find the Sharpie is difficult to actually remove, but black paint, you can just scrape it off. Okay, so then in the back, yeah, black paint, a little silver on the exhaust tips, and a little red in that brake light there. So that's it. Didn't touch the base or anything like that. So here's some other photos of the wheels I'm talking about. They're kind of like DTM wheels, but not. I don't know how to better describe that, but there we go. I never really paid attention to the type of doors this car has, but yeah, it's got the scissor doors, so pretty neat. Alright, let's compare to a couple other, you know, Bugattis. Granted, they're going to be 1/64 scale, the ones I'm pulling up here. So I think after this EB110, it may have been the Veyron that came out. So this one is by Auto Art. This is a really nice one, but it's also pretty pricey. This next one here is a Veyron Super Sport by Granny and Partners. It's a good casting, but the quality problems from Granny and Partners is quite an issue. They have a lot of QC problems. This one has such bad wheels, I had to replace them with these alloys from Word C. And then it also has a bunch of paint rash, even though it's a silver color. There's paint rash, but the silver paint is, and on the hood as well, that gray. So that's too bad. Alright, this last one is by Time Micro. It's a Bugatti Devo. And this is actually a pretty good model, I think, for the money, but my vertical wing is a little bit crooked, so it's not a perfect model, but there's a lot of different details going on in that thing that are pretty hard to do. So I think that's a great model for the money. Alright, let's get a top view here. So this Hot Wheels actually doesn't look that out of place, you know, with these other supposedly scale models. So I think if you're interested in it and you don't mind the really thick rear wing, it's not so bad. I mean, it's definitely not bad for the price that Hot Wheels go for. Alright. So if you're a Hot Wheels collector, I'm pretty sure this is already on your list. But if you're, you know, collecting other types of brands and wondering what the deal is, why do people collect these so much, it's really just about, I think, the value and the fact that this looks somewhat similar to the real vehicle. It's obviously not really accurate, but it has to be that way. So, alright, well, until I do the next Hot Wheels mod, I will be talking to you in comments. Alright, see ya.